Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Garrison, and I want to welcome you to day 197 of Humanity Rising. This week, we've been delving into the issue of peace. What is peace? How do we attain it? We've looked at the issue of race and culture. We've looked at the issue of trauma and compassion. We've looked at the issue of the arts. And today we're going to explore the domains of spirituality and reality and intention. And in many ways, intention is the fulcrum, the traction point, where either peace or war, love or hate, compassion or apathy provides the incarnation of our inner being. When we look back over the history of the last several thousand years, it's been spirituality encased in religion, religious dogma, religious orthodoxy, particularly in the West, and specifically in the Abrahamic religions where peace has been the most absent. The religions have spawned division and violence of all kinds. And so the separation of spirituality from religion in the past 50 or 60 years has been a very important aspect, I think, in humanity's search for peace in the realm of spirituality. As spirituality engages in a reality that is changing every minute of every day, we have a sense of how challenging it is to create right intention. I think, Connie, you need to mute. There we go.
Jim, try it again. Okay.
Yeah, so given current circumstances in our world, with change happening in an accelerated pace, the direction of change with climate change at the center, spinning the world out of control. The question we're going to ponder today of the interface between spirituality, our basic orientation of being, to each other in the larger world, and the reality in which we find ourselves, and the intention that we create to cope and navigate and change our reality through the power of our spirituality with a commitment to peace is perhaps the most noble challenge confronting, inviting, and challenging the human race. So I want to thank our chat action group once again, who's been so active from the very beginning of Humanity Rising. And I am very pleased to turn it over to my good friends and colleagues who've been convening the chat action group, Kurt Kruger and Leslie Southwick Trask. So Kurt, Leslie, I turn the program over to you.
Thank you very much, Jim.
Thank you.
My name is Kurt Kruger. My pronoun is Mui. My spirit name is Narayan Hummingbird. Leslie?
My name is Leslie. I go by the pronouns she and her. My spirit is Naomi, a beautiful white wolf.
I welcome you all with great respect and love. We have day 4, the intersection of spirituality, reality, and intention. Leslie?
So, you know, we've been designing the entire week actually on a music frame. On Monday, we played soul. Our conversation was designed in that way. On Tuesday, we did jazz. Yesterday, we did rock. Today, we are going to the symphony. And so the symphony today is made of 15 beautiful piece instruments who each will play one after the other to create for us an amazing experience into ourselves and into the beyond. You've probably noticed that we said, please do not enter any chat. And that is because this is an experience that will be sealed. We want to make the sanctuary of this experience for those who are sharing their instruments with you and for us who are in this experience at this moment. So for the next number of minutes, hours, we're asking you not to engage in the chat. There will be a moment halfway through where you will be asked to enter, and you will find out when that is. And then you'll be asked to seal the chat again. Thank you for this somewhat unconventional approach to especially a group that's called Chat Action. It is, I think, will be understood as we play these beautiful instruments. So let's sit back, enjoy, and engage.
Three poems about war and peace. I begin with two quotations, the first from Psalms. I am for peace, but when I speak of peace, they are for war. The second quotation from the American poet William Carlos Williams. It is difficult to get the news from poems, yet men and women die miserably every day for lack of what is found there. The first poem, Pearl Harbor, written at the Pearl Harbor National Memorial in Honolulu, begins with an epigraph from The Tempest, which also is from Eliot's The Wasteland. Those are pearls that were his eyes. Beneath these waters, their bones in repose, buried in an instant by bombs and torpedoes. At that moment in a small Arizona town, my father, fresh from milking, sits down to a late breakfast and listens to the radio. We are too young to understand, but recognize a fear we know from dreams. Later, their voices erupt, strafing the night. She begs him not to go, but soon he sails from San Francisco to islands of death across the Pacific. In the museum, I look up and see a small plane suspended from the ceiling and remember the story. A kamikaze plane heading straight for my father's small ship, at the very last moment changes course and hits a nearby destroyer. There is nothing he can do while eternity is suspended in time. My father sees blood and fire on the water, a severed arm, images that no whiskey will wash away. Looking at the placid sea this morning, I bow my head for all that unfolded from that day when I was 6 and the world twisted on its axis to this. Second poem, Famine and Scarcity. My grandson, 7, head bent over his crustless peanut butter and honey sandwich, bowl of grapes and cup of juice, says these very words. Heavenly Father, bless that there will be no war, famine, or scarcity in the land. And I wonder where this pocket prophet heard such a biblical phrase and how in his Sabbath year he seems to understand. On the evening news, I see bone piles, the vultures of war, and beneath a tangled bush in Africa, a woman holding her ghost child, a collapsed puppet. At night, I say my usual cliches for the wrecked and wretched of the world, who speak holy words to the sky's vast darkness. Third poem, A Girl in Aleppo. In the New York Times, above the fold, a photograph of my granddaughter. Or it could be a girl, 9 or 10, same dark eyes and short brown hair, a carmine red blouse under a white and teal jumper, a dark CN scarf and long string of fake pearls. The map of her face, falling bombs, snipers on the roof, dead bodies on the street. Beneath her eyes, red from crying, dark, bruise-like crescents. The sad, mute curve of her mouth, a split rose petal.
The Great Bell Chant, The End of Suffering by Thich Nhat Hanh, adapted to this drum for today's occasion. May the sound of this drum penetrate deep into the cosmos. Even in the darkest places, living beings can hear it clearly, so that all suffering in them ceases, so that all suffering in us ceases. Understanding comes to our hearts, and we transcend the path of sorrow and death. The universal Dharma door is already open. The sound of the rising tide is heard clearly. The miracle happens. A beautiful child is born in the heart of a lotus flower. One drop of this compassionate water is enough to bring back refreshing springs to our mountains and rivers. Following the sound of the drum, we feel the afflictions within us begin to dissolve. Following the sound of the drum, we feel the afflictions within us dissolve. Our minds are calm. Our minds are calm. Our bodies relaxed. Our bodies relaxed. A smile is born on our lips. A smile is born on our lips now. Following the sound of the drum, our breath takes us to the safe island of mindfulness. Following the sound, our breath takes us to the safe island of mindfulness. In the garden of our hearts, the flowers of peace bloom beautifully, beautifully, bloom beautifully. Oh, ahoy, ahoy, ahoy.
I want to share with you the work in spiritual education that our organization has been doing for the last 21 years. The reason for this work was my experience of dreadful reality in 1947 when I was 10 years of age. I saw cruelty of humanity against humanity just in the name of religion. And at that age, I said to me that you got to do something to prevent that from happening. And I lived with that thought. Life came in the way. I became a civil engineer and so on and so forth, and moved to another country, Canada. That's where I live. And I was happy in my profession, running around, making money. And then I met a wise man. He was a religious wise man, actually a spiritual wise man. I asked him this question. I said, this is what I have been living with ever since I was 10. Can you point me in the right direction? He said, yes. He said, the reason why divisiveness and identity violence happens is because people do not understand their religion. They do not understand the spirituality of their religion. They have a superficial dogmatic knowledge, and based upon that, they do some crazy things. And if you really want to do something, develop education and core spirituality of all religions. And he said, the core spirituality, the core wisdom of all religions is the same. There is hardly any difference. And that idea stuck. And when time came for me to retire, I accelerated my retirement by a few years, and I was fortunate to do that economically. And I spent all my time in the last maybe 25 years on doing nothing but researching the scripture of the word to see the core wisdom that is one. And in my search, I also realized that the core wisdom of spirituality is no different from the core wisdom of science. And so I expanded my vision of the education that I want to develop on the basis of convergence of science and spirituality. And that's what we have been doing for the last 21 years. And the difference is only of terminology. Science talks about energy as the underlying reality of matter or material world, whereas spirituality talks about spirit as the underlying reality. They are not really different, they're just two different words. In essence, they are the same. The universe of spirituality is the universe of matter and mind, body and mind, whereas the universe of science was only matter. There is no matter without mind, there is no body without mind, and there is no mind without body. So they're really talking the same thing. And that is what we have been doing in the last 20 years. And we see that that kind of education, re-envisioning, redesign of the education that we deliver in our educational system is essential for ushering in the era of peace and harmony. Thank you very much.
Hello. I start with a quote from Richard Tarnas. The past and the future seem to be converging in our time with extraordinary intensity. Clearly, some form of creative intelligence informs the whole. Yet just as clearly, the human future is radically uncertain, contingent both on human choices and a larger forces beyond our power, beyond maybe even our awareness. An old age of the world is passing away, and a new one is struggling to be born. Fractals are similar patterns in life that we can find in different life forms, such as tree branches and our lungs, the tree of life and a human placenta, a tree stump and a fingerprint. I've also found in my research relational and developmental patterns to be similar as well, such as embryonic development in the human womb, and our world evolving, developing, if you will, in the womb of the universe. For me, they represent mirrors of individual and collective becoming. Two examples of this are thresholds 3 and 4 of embryological development. In the human womb, threshold 3 is when the heart starts out above the head and comes down, and the body wraps around it and brings our heart into our body. I've watched for many years now that we've been told from so many directions, invited, recommended to come from our hearts. That's where we lead from, to listen and follow where it leads. Threshold 4 is where, in most cases, the fetus turns completely upside down to be born. There are many world views that are being turned upside down on their heads, such as thinking we are separate, and we now know that we are not. Everything is connected, everything. So the point I want to bring to you and to us is this. You and we have made it through before to sit here and participate together in this. We have made it through before, and you and we can do it again. You literally are made for these times, and so are we. We are made for these times. So I ask, what if peace is a conception whose time has come? And each of us is a cell of this embryo of peace. As a human embryo, you successfully navigated all of these thresholds to be here today. So when we, us, deeply listen through the stillness to that blueprint of life, our blueprint of life that is always there, has always been there, and are willing to let go of our imprinting, who we were conditioned to think we were, to listen to that innate evolutionary embryonic impulse of life, we can hear, we can feel and sense. Be guided by life's innate knowing, that pulsing intelligence of life to successfully navigate these thresholds of becoming, just like we did as the embryo in our mother's womb, and be an embryo of peace for this world. We then unfold with dynamic success collectively as the imaginal cells that we are and came designed to be, to give birth to a new world of peace for all of life on this planet. Thank you for being a determined and collective cell on this journey, creating and living peace with all of us and all of life.
Take a breath to journey inside to where Source lives in all of us. Every molecule of every cell is made of spirit, just energy, vibrating bliss. It comes to clear and bring healing with its magic. And in this clearing, we feel into what might be living in our bodies from the past, from our stories, our experience. We take a deep breath and hold. Allowing the spaciousness of Source to fill every piece of our body, mind, and spirit. We continue to go within, finding these places of peace. We breathe out any stress or trauma that may still live there. We join with the heart of humanity, with the Source, the Creator that lives within. And we ground down into this planet, imagining roots coming through our seat and our feet, connecting with the roots of the trees and the life force within, the watershed of the planet below and beyond. We sense this deep connection that we have with nature, with the trees, that we are all connected. We allow any of this grief, any of this sadness, any of the sorrow that's left within to leave. Absorbed by the harmony of Mother Nature, back into the ether. We breathe back in the peace of Mother Nature, of our great spirit of Source energy. And allow it to fill us. And we drop into our hearts to imagine a world where peace lives.
Let's take 2 more deep breaths in. Inhale. Hold it. And exhale. Inhale. Hold it. And exhale. With every breath that you take, you are breathing in pure love directly into your heart. That peace, that love within you is growing and growing. Feel the energy surrounding your heart in this moment. Know that you can access this whenever you want. It's always here for you. This deep, resounding peace. And as we connect with ourselves, we connect with others. With everybody joining this call today, our hearts are connecting in heart coherence. And as we connect in heart coherence, we are sending love and sending peace out to our family members. We're sending peace out to our friends. Imagine it continuing to grow. This peace is spreading to our communities and our nation. Now our entire planet is bathing in this beautiful, peaceful energy made of pure love. Now this heartbeat, our collective heartbeat, we are going to send out to the farthest reaches of the cosmos. Imagine every cell, every atom being touched by this beautiful, healing, light energy as it bathes the entire universe, raising the collective vibration of our planet and of everything. Now bring it back to yourself. Bring back this peace. Let it fill your heart again. And know that peace begins with you. When you find peace within yourself, when you find healing and trust, that is how you connect with the divine and let your light shine. Your light is so desperately needed as we transform this planet into one filled with peace and love. Thank yourselves for being here today. Take another deep breath and exhale. Namaste.
And now we are all ready to go on a journey. It is time now to think about some fun things. We're connected, we've got love in our hearts, we're full of peace, and this is now time for the Enchanted Forest. Because the Enchanted Forest is the most wonderful place. We went there many times as children. We went there many times in order to be able to play, to explore, to imagine, to reimagine, to find our way. And now we have an opportunity to again return to the Enchanted Forest, because it is a place where light plays with dark, where hope plays with pain, where magic plays with trauma. This is indeed an enchanted place to be. And it's a really fun place because now we can actually explore with some friends, because we got to call some friends in. And these friends are absolutely magical. They are, we just brought in a couple today because it's a very, very crowded symphony. So we've only got time for a couple of friends to call in for our journey. First of all, we're calling in the magician raven. What an amazing, amazing character this is. So often Raven is referred to as the messenger of magic. And it has been said that the raven was originally a dove who, when the darkness came, dove down into the underworld to grab the last shaft of light and bring it back up to the surface. And in so doing, became dark and became black. Whatever the case is, Raven is magical. And Raven also aligns divine inspiration with our raw talent, our creative energy, and our practical use of resources. So what better guide to play with us today when we look at the intersection of intention, reality, and spirituality? The Raven is waiting there for us. Well, also Raven helps us see what is hiding in plain sight. Look at this magnificent bird. Look at this magnificent energy that this bird brings. Absolutely phenomenal. And our second friend that we're calling in today to go on this journey with us is the Trickster Coyote. Oh my gosh, this character, he's often seen as the fool in the animal tarots because he reminds us that life is just one big, grand adventure, and that we travel down many different roads in order to be able to come into our sense of being. Coyote nudges us to embrace our deepest curiosity and move beyond our ordinary ways of being. Coyote also dares us to be courageous, but not in the normal way, to see the world as a playground of delight. Look at these faces. These are the faces of the coyote who is leading us into a playground of delight in the Shadowland.
I am Shannon McCarr. Oh,
there we
Paula?
are.
There you are.
And now for our journey, going on journey. In preparation, we begin by opening up our Witikocha. Our Witikocha is a form of protection. It will create a form of protection. It resides in our 8th chakra. It's an expansion. And as we do this, we will wrap this form of light around us and increase our vibration for our journey. It's a place outside the body, but also inside the body. It is who we are between lifetimes. Wira is sacred. Kocha is source or spring, the source of the sacred. It's a simple act. We come into prayer pose. We raise our hands above to the 8th chakra. The back of our palms are touching, and we open this field. With this simple motion, we're enveloping ourselves in the divine, in the source of the sacred, a pristine protection. We've invited in the trickster because who knows a trickster better than a trickster? Because what trickster lives within us? The trickster, that symbol, that part of self that is convincing us that we're small, that we're not important, that we're not good enough. The imprints that we carry that keep us from stepping into our greatest self. So as we begin this journey with Trickster, I invite you to take another deep breath. We are going to travel into a meadow, and from the meadow to the great tree, and down its sap to the sap root, and you will meet Huáscar in both male and female form, and you will be given a symbol. And this symbol represents what it is that is needed for you at this time to bring in the peace and the love that you are and that you desire in the world. You find yourself in a meadow. You look down at your feet and you realize you're barefoot. You can feel the coolness of the downtrodden earth as you walk along the path. You hear the gurgling of a stream and you walk toward it. Going down that small bank, you stand in the stream, feeling the coolness of the water on your feet, the ankles and shins, bringing you into this moment in time, letting go of everything else. You walk up the bank and on the stream's other side, and you continue down the path. Up ahead is a tree, a great tree, the world tree. It's beckoning you forward. As you get closer, you can feel the tree's vibrancy, a buzzing energy that is surrounding the tree. You can now feel your fingertips running across its bark. You sense the roots beneath you. The tree is inviting you in. You and the tree become one, leaving your physical body behind. You feel that liquid sunlight running through you and the minerals, the nutrients running up through you. Breathe that in. Breathe in the nutrients of the mother. The liquid sunlight carries you down to the big tap root as you journey down. The tree's deepest connection into the earth is through the taproot, and it has carried you down where you find the underground stream that the taproot drinks from. Lie down in the stream and let it carry you to the entrance to your sacred garden. Look about. There is a light on one side and a forest on the other. A meadow is in front of you. You're looking at trees and the healing plants and herbs. There's a boulder in the center of the meadow. Sit down and look at your hands in this luminous energy form. You are pure light. Notice two luminous beings and a power animal that protects them walking toward you. They hold something in their hands. They are the guardians of the lower world, Huáscar, in the male and female form. You ask, what do you have for me to create peace within myself, in the world, to let go of my small self, my stories, my traumas, my wounds, to bring me into full light? What gift can you give me? Receive their gift in the form of a symbol, an image, and ask, how should I use this gift? What kind of power and wisdom does this gift bring to me? How can I bring this gift into the world? A call to action, perhaps. Bring the gift into the chakra that feels right for you. Feel its powerful energy flow into your body. Thank your guides, the Lady of Life, Lord of Death. Thank you for receiving me, for healing, for guidance. And you turn and retrace your steps as you dive into the waters. Begins to cleanse, leave anything behind from the lower world that is not yours of light, and swim upstream. At the tap root, allow the water streams to carry you up until you break the surface into the trunk of the tree, into the back, into the meadow. There again in the meadow, you feel the roots in your physical body, the roots into the deepness of the earth. You continue back the path, step into the creek, and back into this place, this time. And now with Hillary, we'll be asking everyone to share your symbols in the chat room and for the entire team.
So yes, we're asking all of those instruments in this symphony of peace, if they could turn on their cameras and show us the art that they have created. This would be wonderful. And for those of you in the audience who have drawn, if you could tell us what symbols you have received, and if you could let us know in the chat as well, please. So let's see. Oh my gosh, we've got amazing art. Kim, could you hold yours back up again, please? Could you keep them held up there just so, dragonfly and all kinds of beautiful directions. What's fascinating here is the use of sacred geometry as a way of bringing in a different pattern. Each of these is representing a pattern of energy, some with beautiful shapes and form, some with just energy moving in all different directions, some with our beautiful, the dragonfly who represents such magic that brings into nature, the integration of circles, the integration of energy, the bringing together of the trinities, whatever those trinities might be. Trinity is the most amazing energy. And we have a kite that's coming in, and a crystal ball, and a beautiful heart energy within heart with radiation. Feel the energy, and sometimes just a simple circle and a triangle within the circle is all we need. Sometimes it's the simplest of energies that moves us. Look at these beautiful, beautiful symbols. They all represent forms of peace and how peace moves, how it grows, how it expands, how it brings such essence. We also have circles and arches and we could have a whole hour on just reading the energies of these, what could appear to be squiggles and swirls, but in actual fact is new energy. Look at, we've got Kurt's up there with his the four directions twice mobilizing together. And Leslie's son with the energies that are flowing in all directions. So this is what the trickster can bring. The trickster can bring beautiful energy that helps us see things in new ways. And that was a beautiful, beautiful way of meeting them, Paula. What did you see in those those beautiful swirls and shapes and energy that was bursting and contained all at the same time.
I just feel the amount of energy. No, I think that's a message within this circle of life, and perhaps the flower of life, of so many circles coming together in a way that represents wholeness. And as we work with that coyote energy within us and bringing that beauty, allowing what needs to dissolve comes into this light. I see so many circles of beautiful energy, and just the amount of it is beautiful. Yes.
And then that was a simple activity that in which we could touch into that beautiful shadowland, enchanted forest within us, and how we could be given such gifts and how they were also different. And I think that as we close this piece of ours, this experience, is that we all have unique contributions of energy. And that when we tap into that beautiful, in the taproot, and we tap into that beautiful uniqueness, that's what brings flow. That what brings magic. That as the coyote reminds us, is the beautiful playground of delight. Peace is a delight. Thank you. Thank you for journeying with us.
Thank you, everyone.
And now we're going to close the chat once more.
I am a, pardon me, I am a priestess of Gaia now. Most of my life has been very ordinary, full of confusion and hard decisions, working hard at school or work until I couldn't. But there were moments in those dull, mundane days that shine like lighthouses on the shores of my oceans of tears. I call them Mom, the magic in ordinary moments. Like cuddling up close to my grandmother as she read Hiawatha and the Peacemaker to me. Mom visited me 3 times in the bright face of a full moon, twice to change my life, and 3 years ago, she shone her light of clarity on my purpose in life. 10 years ago, I broke. Taking a walk from the hospital one day, Mom changed my life. I saw a black bra and a skirt like mine, a long tiered black skirt tangled in a bush down by a creek I couldn't reach. I leaned against the railing there and breathed. And I said, I don't know what happened here, but I care. If I can, let me help. Mom led me in the next moment to where they held a sweat lodge like the stories in Hiawatha. I spent a year of Sundays there and learned how to do beading and made my own drum. My gratitude to those gracious people is boundless. They told me the clothes by the creek were a memorial to the missing and murdered Indigenous women whose lives have not yet been honored. Mom guides my choices. She inspired me to write my stories, to tell the tale of the crow surgeon who did successful surgery on a worm. It was Mom who helped me meet the watchman, the raven, bear, and whale while on pilgrimage with my mother to Haida Gwaii. Mom got me to take Chief Phil Lane Jr.'s Indigenous Wisdom course, where we formed an enduring circle of grandmothers. It was a lovely surprise when Mom brought some of them here. Mom sent me to Rotterdam to live for a year in the Synergy Hub 1.0, where I met Robert, whom you will meet today. He's got a proposition for you. Oh, geez. I also want to talk about Our Heart Gardens and POP, the power of people and the collective I inside every one of you that is the you I speak to as I weave words with spirit. But the one I want to leave you with here today is Gaia's promise of peace. She told me in stones and inspired words, going forward, there shall be peace. Deciding on a direction, we go together, for we are one. I left a gift for you on the day 4 page of chataction.org. There is so much more to share with you, and I look forward to meeting you in the after chat and after that. I believe Mom brought Chat Action together so we could do what we're doing, and we're up to our hearts in dreams we couldn't barely imagine. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here.
Welcome. Welcome, nature intelligences who want to be with us here today, who want to guide us in restoring our beautiful blue-green earth to vibrant, thriving life and health, restoring our earth, restoring humanity, restoring peace. Welcome, Gaia. Welcome, our own divine nature essences. Welcome, tree spirits. Welcome, elementals. And especially welcome the spirits, the redwood trees in the forests where I've spent so much of the last 11 years learning from the trees, learning from wild nature in places that have been unspoiled, intact, scientists believe, for 20 million years, never colonized. And so, being with the ancient trees, my own being, my body, began to decolonize. Now, I invite all of you to close your eyes and receive an offering the nature intelligences want to offer, a softening, an opening into our fields, especially the backs of our heart chakras, where we receive so much. They want to do this so we soften and open to receive the knowing and the guidance. The time of restoration is now, and nature can be our guide. She knows balance. She knows how to heal trauma. She loves all of her creations, all life, every one of us, all ages, all sexes, all races, all abilities, all disabilities. She's here with us. I invite you to take in a long, slow, deep breath. Picture yourself leaning against the trunk of the most beautiful old tree, a tree that welcomes, embraces you. Inhale, long, slow, deep breath. Receiving the oxygen she so generously offers, exhaling the carbon she needs in a reciprocity, a sacred reciprocity nature shows in so many ways, in so many places. A reciprocity we can learn in our own sacred economics. Breathing deeply, I invite you to put your hand on your heart. Feel the beat of your heart pulsing, and allow yourself to also feel the rhythm of the sap flowing through this magnificent tree who welcomes you here today. The sap nourishing the heartwood, relaxing back, settling deeper into the roots, allowing yourself to be held. And now, take a little chance as we continue to breathe deeply. Let us take a little chance, just a moment of trust, so that we completely relax, completely let go, completely let ourselves be held, and receive this offering from the intelligence of nature, opening us so that we can listen deeply and be guided by her. I'll remain silent for a while we each receive, knowing that what comes to each of us is just right. It could be an idea, a sensation, a vision, or something that comes later in a dream or a conversation. Just breathe and relax, trusting that you are receiving this gift from our beautiful, beautiful, precious, loving planet full of life. She sings to our hearts. She sings to our souls. She's always with us. She is us. Thank you. Thank you.
Jesus said, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God." He didn't say, "Blessed are the peace lovers," but rather the peacemakers. The scriptures are full of stories about peace, including makers of peace. meaning those who work for peace. One such story from the Torah tells about the reunion of the brothers Jacob and Esau after more than 2 decades of separation. Those familiar with these brothers will recall that through subterfuge and deception, Jacob, the younger brother, usurped Esau's birthright blessing, thereby placing himself in a position superior to his brother. Thereafter, Jacob is called Lord and Esau servant. Esau, angered at having his birthright stolen, strives to kill Jacob. Now, fast forward 20 years to Genesis 31, where God commands Jacob to return to Canaan, the place where Esau has been living. After crossing into Canaan with his family and flocks, Jacob has his famous wrestle with an angel or a divine messenger who, departing at dawn, tells Jacob, "You have striven with God and man and won out." Interestingly, Jacob names the place of the encounter Peniel, which means, "I have seen God face to face, and I came out alive." So Jacob, feeling undoubtedly guilty for having cheated his brother out of his birthright, has imagined for these 20 years that Esau is still full of resentment and murderous intent. But he hopes to disarm and placate his brother by sending him abundant gifts of various kinds of domestic animals. But rather than having kept resentment in his heart toward his brother all these years, Esau has let the enmity between them go. When he meets Jacob, he greets him as the father does the prodigal son in Jesus' parable. He greets him with joy. Scripture says Esau ran to meet Jacob, embraced him, and fell upon his neck and kissed him, and they wept. In other words, by holding a negative memory in his heart, Jacob has not been at peace with himself or his brother since they were boys, while Esau, having put past behind him, upon seeing his brother, is immediately filled with love. It is significant that following their embrace, Jacob, astonished, says to Esau, "Have I not seen your face as one might see God's face, and you have received me in kindness?" When Jacob sees Esau's face full of grace and generosity, he reverses their roles, speaking of himself as the servant and his elder brother as his Lord. It is worth noting that apparently Jacob saw something in his brother's loving visage that reminded him of what he had seen on the face of the divine being with whom he had wrestled, suggesting that when we have love and peace in our hearts, we see God's countenance in the faces of others. The lesson of this narrative is that if we have the light of God's peace in our hearts, as did Esau, that light is likely to be reciprocated when someone sees that peace in our face, even if he has perceived us to be his enemy. And God said to Moses, "The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace."
Hello, everyone. We are beaming in from the Butterfly Nebula and the trust frequency, where there is more beauty, balance, joy, and abundance than you can fathom, where peace is a given. We have been dancing the dance of souls together for 17 years on our journey to wholeness, self-love, and self-acceptance, and alignment with our divinity, so that we can bring the gift we promised to bring to the party, us, the job we came here to do. Our minds and hearts are in coherence because we truly trust the loving universe.
We are coming to you today from a place that I like to think of as reality, the real. And it has condensed for us for this brief moment into the Butterfly Nebula as a symbol of metamorphosis, change, transformation, resulting inevitably in that which we are all seeking here, peace. One of the reasons we do not have peace in our hearts and our minds and our souls is that we have tended to base our reality on a set of fundamental beliefs, a worldview, a set of assumptions that are in fact erroneous, that are in fact incorrect. So the first of these assumptions that I would like to change, if we're not already there, is that we live in a conscious, loving universe. In my scientific training, I was not told that I lived in a conscious, loving universe. I was told that I lived in some sort of giant machine. But in fact, we live in a conscious, loving universe. The universe loves us unconditionally. It gives us everything we ask for. Why? Because in fact, we are it. And one of the great lessons that I personally have learned is that we create reality with the power of our consciousness.
Yes, and our consciousness is our requests to this conscious, loving universe. And there are 7 aspects of our consciousness that create our reality by creating our vibratory level, our frequency. And those 7 aspects of our consciousness we can put into one sentence. We have put them into one sentence, and I'd like to say that sentence to you because it's kind of a toolkit for how we act all day long.
The 7 A's?
The 7 A's, the 7 aspects of our reality, of our consciousness that create our reality. And they are: with expanded awareness, we choose our attitude, consciously direct our attention, align with our highest inner promptings, take committed action, which is the kicker, to act from that place, and allow the loving universe to manifest beyond our wildest dreams.
And remember, everything happens for us, not to us. We are the writers of our own movie. And as we learn this, we move from victim to beloved, from blaming others to gratitude.
And we bring peace on earth and heaven to earth.
And in 4 words, trust the loving universe. Thank you, friends.
Hello. I want to take you on a short journey to put love into action. This is the call to peace and a call to action. Put love to action. I want to show you this beautiful watercolored borderless map as a symbol that a lot of borders that we experience and see in our lives are basically illusionary. If a bird would fly from north to south or the other way around, you could easily see this picture, a world without borders. I also want to take you and introduce you to a beautiful overview of the intersection of life, of the 12 sectors of society. This diagram is based on the work of Barbara Marx Hubbard, The Wheel of Co-Creation. And this shows society in all 12 sectors and its diversity, with love in the center. A lot is here. You can see spirituality here. You can see arts and culture and music. And you can see indigenous ancient wisdom here, but also economics and governance, which are basically the two dominant sectors that influence everything else that's connected. But in the center is love. And there are so many forms of love, self-love and family love. And today we are talking about the intersection of spirituality, reality, and intention. And we want to include all these shapes and forms of love and put this into action for peace. Pope Francis recently said, there is a need for a kind of new Copernican revolution that can put the economy at the service of men and women, and not vice versa. He was referring to the 16th century paradigm shift that stated the sun was at the center of the universe and not the earth. An economy means taking care of your household. So if the Pope is calling for a revolution, we are calling you for this experiment to initiate the next Copernican revolution of the mind. And how can we create this optimal intersection? For what do we perceive as real? Are the illusionary borders in our minds real? As you see here, most of the things we think are true in life, they are essentially illusions. If you see a sunset and a sunrise, you perceive it as real, but actually a sunset or a sunrise do not exist. The sun, beside that it's shining so brightly, is doing nothing. It's there in one place. It's us, Earth, that is moving. And that's the perfect and most beautiful illusion of all. Our intention. All hearts come together as one. We ratify love. We've recorded a document by registered letter in 2013, and we officially registered love. And this is our offering, this universal belief. And we are doing this because in the current situation, there are many different forms of religion, cultural systems, and other kind of borders and thought forms and dogmas. And because of all these differences in views, and this diversity is beautiful, but all of them also create a form of boundaries and in-the-box thinking. And in this way, we are actually holding back the progression to a complete connection. We wanted to register this overarching belief So, as it were, to link all the different religions and beliefs and dogmas on earth. And this faith is love. It's about a focus on a change in mindset and what this will bring about. So this is our call to action, with only one condition for success. We want to support the peace dialogue and call upon all religions and all people to officially accept this symbolic overarching belief, love, that unites us all. Our experiment is to challenge your beliefs and perceptions by stepping out of your comfort zone. All hearts come together as one. We ratify love. And a short note, your belief will remain, it will not disappear. It is unique. You can see it as a sub-faith or belief, like a dialect that falls under a national language. You can be proud of it, but even more proud of the greatness of the all-encompassing feeling, love. All hearts come together as one. All sectors are connected and work in symbiosis here. Taking care of the basic needs, mental and physical, restoring balance for everyone to thrive, with love and compassion, achieving harmony on a personal level and holistic level. To live in harmony with one another is the basis of all good relationships. All hearts come together as one. Let's put love in action, a universal heartbeat. Are you an expression of the great universal being and love? Then go to the websites that will be shared with you, the links of Humanity Rising and GaiaNet, and sign the Universal Declaration with the shared link. Thank you.
Mother Earth to her daughters, as it has been told, the bird of humanity needs both of its wings to fly. The time is now. Having faced those tricksters who had been feeding you all those lies, your inner truth now thrives. The time is now to seize your divinity, to rise up, to stand tall among all your relations. Unfold your wings and rise.
1, 2, 3, 4. Rise up, my daughters, rise. 1, 2, 3. Your daughters are rising and rising and rising. Rise up, my daughters, rise. Your daughters are rising and rising and rising. Rise up, my daughters, rise. Your daughters are rising and rising and rising. Rise up, my daughters, rise. Our daughters are rising with courage and intuition. Rise up, my daughters, rise. Rise up, my daughters, rise. All women are rising and rising and rising. Rise up, all women, rise. All women are rising and rising and rising. Rise up, all women, rise. All women are rising and rising and rising. Rise up, all women, rise. Your daughters are rising with courage and strength. Rise up, my daughters, rise. daughters rise. We're rising and rising and rising. Rise up, humanity, rise. We're rising and rising and rising. Rise up, humanity, rise. We're rising and rising and rising. Rise up, humanity, rise.
Such beautiful voices. Come on in, Jim. And blessings to all in the symphony of peace.
You, after listening to all of this, you have the opportunity of really grokked it when you stayed present with us. The present is a present. Being here now is so powerful. It opens us up to that love that we feel after today. Humanity Rising has offered us this gift every single day. And we in the Peace Lab offer you the ability to help create more and more peace in a holistic way, as was presented by Robert in his nice circle of all in one way to live. Jim, I'd love to hear your comments.
It's been a beautiful session, Kurt and Leslie. Thank you so much, for the heartfulness that you've convened over the past 4 days. I felt like I've been in a sustained state of prayer for the last 90 minutes. And it has soothed my soul. I feel calm and very serene at the moment. And I think that's the perfect tonality for any contemplation of spirituality and reality and intention. As T.S. Eliot said, the only posture for human beings is on our knees in prayer.
And then you get up and take action.
That's tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to dive into action and agency and intentionality. That's going to be a beautiful grand finale for the Peace Week.
The beauty is we keep stepping up. We're doing steps to evolve humanity. And this is what it's all about. We've kept with that Copernican idea. And now we have a totally new, grandiose experience to bring forth. We get a little stronger in this cocoon. Pretty soon we get to break forth because we've all become this incredible, I call them intentional cells instead of just imaginal cells. And intention brings so much more power. I'm so thankful that everyone came. Again, welcome everybody with great respect and love. And Leslie's been such a gift to us and that shining light that she brings to each of the days. She's so, I call her the queen bee.
Well, we're going to put that one to bed. Okay. Just say it. I'm just wondering if we could see all the faces just before we leave.
Yes.
For us to share gratitude.
Rick, put everybody on gallery view.
Yes. Yeah. There we are.
Look at those beautiful people, everyone.
And the big important thing is that there's so many people behind us that allowed this to happen. Without all these people that are doing this work all over the world, our team that put this together, as well as all the other teams. And now is that time to coalesce and bring it on.
And just before we close for the gratitude, I just want to, Hillary, you had some thoughts around the symbols that emerged in the middle of the chat.
I just wanted to shout out to those who put their symbols in the chat, because it was so, again, I want to recognize the diversity, the colors of amber and green and rose and gold that came through, the living of the leaves, which represent new growth, but also represent life in such beautiful forms. And it was, you know, again, and the eagle and the winds, and the kite, the scroll, the torque, and the key. You know, those are fascinating symbols, and we don't honor symbols enough, I don't think, in our lives. We're surrounded by them, and they are a language unto themselves. So I get what I'm saying is that those of you who are watching, when you get your symbol, let it talk to you. It has great wisdom to share in very simple ways. And I wanted just to acknowledge the great symbols that did get entered on the chat, as well as our wonderful group who also shared those. They're brave and courageous, as the Trickster Coyote would have it, that showed their artwork. So thank you.
So thank you, Robert. I'm looking you in the eye. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Connie and Andrew. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Gloria and Bob. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Hill. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Shiv. Thank you, Grandmother Anahata. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Brazilian Voices. I think we found the theme song for Humanity Rising. And thank
Beautiful.
you,
I love
Catherine.
it. I love it.
Thank you, Kurt, and thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Leslie.
And let's go to the after chat so you can click on that, meet these wonderful people. And tomorrow, tomorrow we're doing World Beat. Just if you want to know what the music theme is for tomorrow.
On action, agency, and impact.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you same time, same station here on Humanity Rising for the grand finale of our Peace Lab. Bye-bye.